today's guest. He's former MTV Challenger Vinny Foti. Thank you for being here today, Vinny.
Hey, what's up? Welcome.
Okay, so prior to getting into reality television, were you into sports growing up? Did you play anything?
Yeah, I played sports my whole entire life. 3 sports, all the way from 5 years old till college hockey in my early 20s.
That's awesome. How did you first hear about the audition tapings, and what made you want to get into it? And what was the process like getting casted?
Um, well, I was on my way to work. I grew up about 7 miles north of Boston, and I was on my way to work driving in, and I was early because I was trying to beat the traffic, and it was listening to the radio, and they said casting at, I think it was Ned Devine's, this bar in Faneuil Hall. It's like a college bar, and they're like from, I don't know if it was from like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. or something like that. And I was like, wow, I always wanted to be on the railroad. I used to watch it growing up, and I watched the challenges. All my girlfriends were always into the challenges too.
Yeah.
So I always had to watch it even if I didn't want to watch it. But so I went down to Ned Devine's, and I sat in line for like a while. I remember maybe like 45 minutes to an hour or something. And immediately when I was in the big group setting, like they immediately took me out after they asked everyone like silly questions, like, what's your name, one word to describe yourself. I said something silly. I don't even know. I don't even remember. I'm trying to remember. I don't even remember what I said. It's people ask me all the time. But they took me out of there and like put me in another group, and then I got like multiple calls after that for I had to do an interview in a local Boston hotel that same week, and then then they took me to New York City to Lower Manhattan, where I had an interview with like the head of casting, and then they called me and said something about are you interested in the Real World or Real World Challenge? Because right now we have you casted for either of them. And I said, well, I would rather do the challenge. And that's how I got on the challenge. Because the challenge is, from what I watched on television, the Real World's great, but the challenge is much more, I would say, more my style, I thought.
Yeah. So when you first got the call that you were being casted, what was said? Did you know it was gonna be fresh meat, or?
I didn't know anything. I didn't even know when they asked me if it was actually Real World Cancun at the time. I didn't even know that they didn't say Real World Cancun. It was or Fresh Meat too. They just said Real World or Real World Challenge. What are you more interested in? And yeah, so that was all a big surprise. Like they flew us out. I think that when they flew me out for the Real World Challenge, the first one, Fresh Meat 2, it was Seattle was like the airport we all met up in, and then they give you your tickets. And like everyone kind of meets there, and then like they give you your tickets, and then everyone saw it said Canada. We're like, oh man, everyone was kind of mad about that at first because you're always watching them on some exotic island.
Yeah.
But actually, Whistler was where they had us, where the Winter Olympics were in Canada. That was like the best. I would say that was the best location we went to. I thought it was unbelievable up there.
What was your dynamic like with the other fresh meat upon first arriving?
Everyone was really cool. That's a really cool cast, that Fresh Meat 2 cast. We're all still pretty, I stay in touch with everyone through social media. I see a lot of them here. I go to the gym with Newer, who was on Fresh Meat 2.
Oh, yeah.
We go to the same gym. He hates cardio though, so he's not working out with me right now that much. But so we all keep in touch mostly through social media now. But yeah, we're all pretty. It was a pretty cool cast. No, there was never like any fighting between the Fresh Meat 2 cast. Maybe some of the veterans, but not the actual newcomers.
Did you know or look up to any of the vets that were there prior to the show?
Let me see. Did I look up to any of the vets? Yeah, I always liked like I grew up around CT. We grew up really, really close. I wasn't close to him as like he's older than me. I think I was a freshman when he was a senior. We played in the same conference in sports, but he was older than me by 4 years.
Wow.
So yeah, he was a basketball player too. I didn't play basketball, but he's a really good athlete, by the way.
Yeah.
And I think it was more like CT and Evan and Kenny were the three that I used to really like watching the challenge before I got on.
Were you glad that Sarah picked you as a partner, or were you preferring someone else?
At the time, I used to like Jen. Jen was my favorite. Jen and Rachel were my two favorite girls watching the challenge growing up. And Jen picked Newer. I don't remember the order it went in. I think he might have been picked before me. I was picked somewhere in the middle. But when I got picked by Sarah, all the veterans were like, "Oh, this is a great." She just went really far. They didn't even air the Ruins or whatever was on before that. So they were telling me like, "Oh, this hasn't aired yet," but she made it all the way to the finals and her first one, and she's really good. So I was excited about that. But I didn't know it was pretty new at the time.
Yeah. How difficult was that exile you went into? Because on TV, watching it, it looked like a mini final.
Yeah, so me and Kenny were really close in the challenge. He's really, me and him hit it off. We're both Italian too. He told me after that, like that was worse than any exile he's ever been in. He had been in like 20 challenges before that, or like 15 challenges. So he said that was the hardest one he's ever done. So that was really, really difficult. We had no clue what was going to happen. I knew the one before when they came back. I think the kid Pete told me that it was a long. They had weighted, like a weight vest almost, and they had a run for miles. So I was expecting, oh wow, we're gonna be doing something like that. I didn't think they changed it up though. You know, you never know with them. They could do 3 of them the same in a row, or just switch it up every single time.
Yeah,
so that was really difficult. I hike a lot now because I live out west in Vegas, and at the time I had never hiked at all because I'm from the city. And when we had to put that pole, it was like a fence pole. It was like a fence pole with like if they just gave us a barbell with 45-pound weights on each side, it would have been way easier than what we had to carry because there was sandbags attached to the pole and they were swinging. Yeah. So your core was being worked. And I think my partner Sarah, she wasn't really much of a she was a really good partner, but she's not, that wasn't her strong suit. Mm-hmm. So another funny story about that exile, they always make a joke about it, like the crew, because I didn't even realize that we were so tired when we had to drop the weight. Like they make you take out 20 pounds or 30 pounds. When we rearranged the weight, because Sarah couldn't carry much, we actually somehow put the same weight back in. So I carried up to the top more than Kenny had to carry.
Yeah.
And only finished like maybe like 10 seconds behind them, 20, maybe 15, 20 seconds behind them. Maybe, I don't even remember. It was close. Mm-hmm. We actually passed Kenny at one point, and then there was like some sort of puzzle. The puzzles are really hard in those things. So.
Yeah. Coming into Cutthroat, it was like an unofficial challenge at the beginning. Like you guys had to run through, what was it, like almost like a jungle type thing.
Yes.
And you won that. So were you kind of like coming in thinking you were one of the top dogs?
Yes. Well, I trained really hard for that challenge, that second challenge. The first challenge, I just continued my regimen. I always lifted weights. I always ran 3 miles of cardio, you know. Typical gym work. I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna win this if I just, you know, bench press, squat, and run 3 miles. So I started upping my game, running a lot of cardio. I was living in downtown Boston at the time. I had moved downtown, and I was running the Charles River, which is like you can do like a 5-mile loop, 8-mile loop, or a 13-mile loop, I think. the marathon, the Boston Marathon. They train there all the time, the marathon runners. I started wearing weight vests, and I would run up in Charleston. I would run up this hill called Bunker. I would run that hill like every other day. So I was doing a lot of training, and I dropped about 15 pounds, maybe 12. I was already in good shape, but I got maybe 12 pounds or something like that, around that weight, to for that second challenge. So I thought I was in the best physical shape I could possibly be in. And then when we did that run, I mean, a lot of people argue that oh, my bag was heavier than yours, because some people, you had to run with your bag that you packed. So some people pack like 10 pairs of jeans. People pack 3 pairs of gym shorts. And like the girls, I think some of the girls had like a huge suitcase on wheels. So, but another thing, the first challenge is, I think it was Danny. He's from Boston also. He told me, never pack heavy, because they all made fun of me on that first challenge. I brought like all these nice clothes. They're like, you're not going to wear them. It's the challenge. You're not going clubbing, or you're not going out on Friday night here. You're indoors in comfortable clothes. So I took that. And also from his first challenge, they made him run on the sand with like all their luggage. And that's the reason why he lost, is because they had like 100 pounds of luggage. Or they had like 40 pounds of luggage, and someone else had like 15 pounds. So from then on, I packed light.
So the first challenge on Cutthroat, it was that gas chamber challenge, and it looked brutal. Could you kind of walk me through what that was like?
Everyone was pretty nervous, because it was they were saying like we didn't wear gas masks, so it was like, okay, you're hitting us with gas with no mask. Okay, and I never been hit with that before. I also there, maybe it was on, maybe when certain people went in there, they raised or something, maybe to blow more, and that's what I kind of noticed when we got gathered from talking to each other. Maybe other people got hit with more than others, because it was coming out. I think we were like trying to read to figure something out, and like it was coming out above that, hitting you in the face. So just red eyes and choked up a little bit, but the whole point of that was just to get in and out. So it wasn't as bad as it looked, but it was pretty. It wasn't fun, I guess. That was a good win. We won that. That was a good win.
Yeah. What was it like having Abram and Laurel on your team?
I love all those people. Abram is awesome. He's a great teammate. You want Abram on your team. And Laurel is unbelievable. She's a beast. Kenny's a great competitor too, but that first challenge, going back to freshman 2, Kenny's partner was Laurel that I went against, and she like was unbelievable, way better than Sarah performed, which was the reason why they won, because you needed both people to perform. So Laurel is great. She's probably the best. I would say one of the top 2 or 3 competitors in the challenge.
Yeah. So obviously one of the first nights or weeks on Cutthroat, Johnny Bananas was in a big bar fight, and you were kind of in the center of that, trying to break it up. Can you kind of walk us viewers through what happened that we didn't see?
What happened in that bar fight? Well, there was like a table of maybe 2 or 3 guys from the Czech Republic, and they were in the same bar as us. It was an upstairs bar, and they started heckling us, which we didn't care about. We didn't even pay attention. And then they started throwing ice, I believe, at us. And then it started to become like, all right, well, we started to pay attention more to them. And then I think Johnny went to the bathroom towards the end of when we were there. And the guy got in his face. Johnny pushed him back. And then when he pushed him back, he fell back and fell pretty much down the stairs, which I don't even know if anyone has ever told that story. Johnny pretty much threw a kid down the stairs, and then when that happened, the kid didn't get up. So then we all got nervous and ran on the bus, and the bus literally took off. And then when we got back to the house, they don't have like police like you have in a city here. Like you have the city police, like the Las Vegas police or the Boston police. They don't have that. They have army. It's like an army.
Wow.
So they came to the house like in the army gear and knocked on the door, and then they talked to him and told him the story, and then everything was fine. Johnny never had I think he had to come down there and talk to them, but nothing really came about that. A lot of people get aggravated because Johnny might get a little. Some people would probably have been thrown off.
Yeah.
But also, I don't think the cameras were necessarily on the actual fight or shoving, so I don't think they actually caught that. But that's the big thing with these challenges. If they don't catch it on camera, they don't have a storyline to show, so they might not throw someone off for something. Because in that same challenge, I don't know if you know this, but Shauvon got mad at me one night and hit me with her jewelry, big chain.
That was actually my next question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, so that whole thing with Shauvon picked me first because she was a captain. Because that whole challenge where we had to race the first thing, the last 3 people became the captain. Shauvon picked me because she liked me. That's what she told me. She picked me because she thought I was cute, and she didn't want Johnny to run because she could have picked Johnny over me, which would be a good choice because he runs that game. And she didn't want Johnny to. She thought Johnny would have just voted her right off and ran the whole team himself, which he would have done, which I wanted to do. So when she found out I wanted to do that a week in, she got drunk one night and I said something to her like I don't know. I said some smart comment to her, and she came at me to fight me and hit me with her chain and pushed me and cut me pretty good, actually. I think I got cut from that. And I was bleeding, and a producer had to come talk to us, and he pretty much told us, like, it wasn't caught on camera. There was no storyline from it. He pretty much told us, like, is everyone okay? Is, like, do you want her thrown off, Vinny? I says, no, I don't want to, throw her off. And then that was the end of it. That was pretty much the end of that. And it was just we were really drunk. I think she was really drunk. And there's a funnier part of that story actually too. When we got eliminated together, we went back to the hotel together. And then there was a whole other thing that happened there with no cameras. She tried to hook up with me, and that's a whole story.
Yeah.
But I like Shauvon too. I have no problem with Shauvon. Shauvon is a pretty cool girl. I just she's not the best challenge partner, but as a friend outside of there, I would, we're actually pretty cool. I would, in the challenge, it's not something you'd want to do with.
Yeah, I actually saw that on the shit you should have shown edition of Cutthroat when she hit you with the chain, and I thought you handled it well.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to get thrown off, so
yeah.
And it's a girl too, so I'm not gonna, a Cutthroat house. I regret a lot of them because there was a lot of stuff said, and I think I don't know why I got voted into my exile there is because I had a few arguments, like with the one with Shauvon, and then the one with there was a few people there was arguments with. They didn't show Chet. I think I was talking about one of the castmates, and Chet went to the other castmates and told them that he's talking about you, and then I tried to fight Chet.
Yeah, I saw.
and then I think Brad and a few of them held me back. They're like, you can't. There's no fight, and like we're trying to, don't want to fight. That's not the purpose of the show.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of alcohol involved sometimes, and I was really, it's just that's what happened.
So going into your elimination against Big Easy, obviously, I mean, we touched upon it earlier. You were in one of the best shapes, if not, arguably the best shape on the show. And Easy's notoriously not the best athlete and is known for kind of crapping out and stuff. But what went wrong in that elimination? Because I know afterwards you were kind of pissed off. So
I was very pissed off because I don't know if they show this during the whole thing, but if you watch it live, if you were there live, Big Easy never moved that box while staying on the box more than a few times. So when they told us the rules, they said you can't come off the box. If you fall off the box, you got to move the box back to where it was. So what he kept doing was moving it forward and then falling. And then when he moved it back, he didn't move it back to exactly where it was. So he kept moving forward. And I stayed on the box like the rules were, and I moved it. But then when I got there before him, but the whole point wasn't just to move the box into a straight line into a circle. You had to go and calculate how many moves over to the circle, or I mean to the square that was there. The team was yelling at me, like, instead of me trying to calculate where to go, they were telling me, like, hey, we got this, go straight. All right, go one left. And then when I got there listening to them, I was completely off. I was too far in. And if I had to go back around and make a few moves back to come into the circle or the square. So it was a little bit my team's fault, but it was more, it was pretty much like you're in this big square box and you have to tip it forward and then jump a little bit. And while it moves forward, land on the top. It's really pretty tough. I remember TJ telling me that he tried doing it before us before we even got there. And TJ said it was really hard. He had a really hard time with it. So that wasn't easy. So even the producers before we got there, one of the people that interviewed you pulled me aside and said, like, you got this. I already seen the whole setup. There's no way he's going to beat you. So I started thinking, like, oh, this is going to be like, in my favor. But that kind of challenge isn't really in anyone's favor.
Yeah, no.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that was a tough challenge. I just didn't calculate it correctly. That's why I lost.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, every other elimination from that season, for the most part, was physical, contact-wise. I thought for sure if you went into any other elimination with Eric, you would have ripped him apart. But
definitely. He's not an athlete to say, but he's a great kid. I like Eric. He's a really nice person. He's always friendly with everyone in the house. Big drinker, big partier. That's his thing. For that challenge too, but yeah, I would love to have gone in something physical. The funny thing was they did the same elimination. Like, I think it was 3 times in a row. They did the same elimination. It was all physical. With Brandon was in it, and he had a move back. Like, they would tie each other, and they had to pull in the opposite directions or something like that.
yeah.
So I was expecting that. So I was like all pumped up. I think I even took pre-workout. I was like, I'm going into like I literally took NO Explode or whatever. I took some pre-workout. I was thinking I was going into that because we just saw 3 in a row the same. So why would they change it up? We thought that was going to be the elimination for the whole time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It was a big shock.
So on X's, you kind of said that you were homeless prior to filming. Can you kind of walk me through what that was like?
Well, when I moved to Vegas, I got a great job in the nightclub, and then when I went home to Boston a year later for Christmas, there was a huge snowstorm there, and I was stuck in Boston for over a week. It was like you couldn't leave. You couldn't even get a flight out. And I missed New Year's Eve because I was have Christmas and then fly right back. I wasn't supposed to miss the biggest event of the year for my job. So when I got back, this is how kind of Las Vegas is. They're like, yeah, you're fine. You don't have a job no more. So I was like, okay, well, I actually found a job really quick. 6 weeks. But for 6 weeks, I had no job. And good at saving money. I would make a lot and spend a lot. And when I was actually sold that same month, and I had to be out within a few weeks. It was a really quick closing. So I had I didn't know. I would meet a lot of women when I went out. So when I left their house, I didn't have an apartment yet. I had to sleep somewhere. And that's how I actually met my wife, surprisingly. I actually went home with my wife and they never left.
Wow.
Which is a crazy story. I think I told that story to the girls. I was one night, like there's like 4 bunk beds or whatever in one of the girls' rooms. There's like a bunch of girls in there. I was in there with them talking, and I told them that story. I think Mandy and trying to think who else. All of the girls were in there, I think. Yeah, they were all in there. I don't think she liked that story. It's just the truth. That's what I did, and that's what I was telling. I wasn't, I was just telling how it was at the time. But I wasn't like I wasn't homeless in the streets, eating out of trash barrels or anything like that. I was just out of a place to live for a little.
Right. So you and Wes kind of butted heads a little bit on X's. What was your dynamic like with him off camera?
Wes is a great guy. Actually, let me see. Wes. I like Wes a lot. Like someone I kind of meet a lot in the show. In the show, he's terrible. From day one, Kenny always told me, whatever you do with Wes, he'll always turn on you at the end. So the veterans told me that. It was more than just him, but he really told me over and over and over. He's on the show. Like, he will never hold true to anything he says, and it's always going to be for him. So just remember the show with X's. Like, the first day, he got on everyone's nerves and told everyone he's here. He rubs people the wrong way, and he pretty much told the house like it's him against everyone the first day. So everyone just got together and was like, "We'll just vote Wes out." All time. And that's one of the reasons why in the X's I voted Wes. It wasn't that I wanted to vote Mandy. I'm actually friends with Mandy. I've been friends with Mandy for a while, but at that time. But Wes brought it on himself, So.
Right. What was your favorite house out of the 3 seasons that you've done?
My favorite house? Oh, man. My favorite house. It's the first one, Fresh Meat 2. Fresh Meat 2 house was unbelievable. It's like it's in this Olympic Village in Whistler with it's beautiful, like $1 million cabin that you would see from like Dumb and Dumber. It's just incredible. Huge rooms, huge, big, open, beautiful house. The only problem was they told us there's a black bear and grizzly bear problem, and that like okay. And then we went for a jog. Everyone got to go for a jog one day. I turned the corner about half mile into my jog. Grizzly bear right there.
Wow.
Literally, the grizzly bear in my life. I don't even see anything. I don't even know if I've seen a deer in person by then at that time. So I literally turned around and then ran back. I didn't even get to go on my run. I was like, yeah, I saw a bear, like that trail that we're supposed to go down. Yeah, there's a bear like a half mile into it. So that was a pretty cool house, though. That was definitely the best house. And when I was in that house, the veterans told us, like, this is way better than the other houses. So that was a pretty fun house. I mean, the worst house that I was in the Czech Republic, because it was like you're in like a middle of a grassy, like acre hill there. So that was kind of boring. A boring house. Yeah.
So what have you been up to post reality television?
Well, I got a job years ago at the Wynn Casino, and I'm a bartender at the Wynn. I've been a bartender there for about 7 and been living in Vegas. I had 2 kids, and I have a 3rd kid on the way. I have 2 girls. Yeah, I actually have 2 girls, which is funny.
That's awesome, man.
But yeah, it is. And they're 4 and 2. And me and my wife actually have the same job. My wife is a bartender at the Wynn also.
Wow.
Yeah, she works graveyard shift, like 2 a.m. to 10 a.m., and I work the swing shift. which is like 6 p.m. like the prime hours. Yeah, it's fun. It's a good. That's what I've been doing, a lot of training. I'm always active. I live right next to I live right next to Red Rock Canyon, which is like some of the best running trails in the country. I think. It's incredible. A lot of hiking. There's a lot of outdoor activity, and Vegas has excellent. Yeah, that's what I do. I try to. I literally have no days off. I always say that I'm probably working out at least once a day, every day.
So towards the tail end of 2018, it was in the news. You suffered heart failure, and you were in a coma.
I was, yeah. Well,
me through
there was
how
no.
that.
I never had actual heart failure. What happened was I was really sick, and it ended up being pneumonia. But I was so sick, I didn't go to the hospital or the doctors. I just stuck it out thinking I was sick, and really I had pneumonia. And they call it walking pneumonia when you don't really know you have it, but you have it. So a week of those symptoms, they got worse and worse and worse, and then I actually almost just passed out. I literally couldn't walk down my stairs, barely. And my wife got me in the car, took me to the emergency room, and I barely walked into the emergency room. I remember having a hard time. I remember thinking to myself, like, damn, am I that overweight? I can't even get to the door. Like, what is wrong with me? I didn't know. I wasn't running a fever, so I didn't know what was wrong with me. When I got into the emergency room, I dropped into the nurse's arms, passed out. And I woke up 2 weeks. I woke up 2 weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah, and they thought originally when I dropped, they told my wife, well, we tested them and having heart failure. But what that meant was I had pneumonia so bad, pneumonia was shutting down all my organs, liver, kidneys, heart, everything. That's what pneumonia does. It eventually shuts you down, like this COVID-19. It just shuts you down completely eventually. So that's what was going on. And so the original thing was, oh my God, he's having heart failure. I didn't necessarily have heart failure. I just had a really bad pneumonia that almost killed me. And that was really, really difficult because when you wake up from a coma, like 2 weeks later, your legs haven't moved for 2 weeks. Your arms haven't moved for 2 weeks. Your body hasn't moved. So you haven't it's called muscle atrophy. So I think the third week of being in the hospital, I decided they finally got me up out of the bed, and I couldn't even stand. My muscles weren't strong enough for me to stand. And I'm someone that works out constantly. I was very overweight. I had gained a lot of weight from when I first had these kids. I gained probably about 40, 50 pounds, which is a lot of weight. So I wasn't living a healthy lifestyle at the time at all, which is normally what I live. And I kind of got sidetracked from that. And but when the third week in the hospital, they pretty much told me, like, you're not going to be in this hospital. And I took that as a challenge. And I was actually out of there 1 week after he said that. So I just, it's crazy. I had to learn how to walk again, which is nuts from having pneumonia. You wouldn't think if someone gets pneumonia, then they have to learn how to walk again. But just not moving your legs in that. I remember when I woke up and I looked at my ankles and my calves, they were like little kid calves. That's how fast the muscle atrophy can kick in if you don't move your legs and arms and so that was a tough road of recovery. It took a long time. That happened October 1st. I went in the hospital. I came back to work like by New Year's, January 1st or December, like Christmas week or something. I think I came back to work, which they told me I'd be out of work for 6 months. They didn't think I'd be able to work for 6 months. And it was crazy, man. It was a really tough time. I had like physical therapy. I had to learn everything all over again. Like I had to learn how to they had me do calf raises. I could just do 6. Imagine that, just do 6 calf raises, nothing, no weight. Then I had to do 45-degree squats and all these things just to get back into it. And then I started walking like a half mile. Then I walked a mile. Then I walked a mile and a half. And then finally, it took about a good 4 months to get back to like 90%, I would say.
Wow.
And then, yeah, it was really tough. and I actually lost, which wasn't good. I thought it was good, but I had lost like, I want to say 50, maybe 60 pounds in the hospital. But I think when I went back to my gym and got a body fat scan, it was mostly muscle I had lost.
Wow.
So yeah, it wasn't like, oh, I lost 60 pounds of body fat. I lost mostly muscle because of all that laying down. So it was a really hard recovery. They had actually, I didn't even mention, they did surgery on me twice. So my lungs filled up with blood, 100% on one side, and then the other side filled up with like 60 or 70%. So I was only using a quarter of my lung to breathe. That's why I passed out. I wasn't getting any oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually had to open up my lungs and drain the fluid, and then the pneumonia had built up like the sludge in my lungs that they told me they had to scrape out. They actually had to do surgery on one of my lungs.
Wow.
But the crazy thing is, they told me like, oh, you'll be back to normal life, but they told me you might not be, 100%. But it's pretty funny though, because since then, it's about 2 years ago, I'm actually better shape now than I ever was. So it's possible if you put the work in. I didn't mention that.
Right. So I was just gonna ask you. I saw on your Facebook you underwent transformation. You're looking good, man. Like, what did you do?
So I'll go back to when I was recovering. I actually gained all the weight back within 6 months. Imagine that. I went back to my old eating habits and old everything and just started gaining weight again, but without the muscle I previously had. So I ended up being in like the worst shape possible, I would say 6 months to 7 months after that whole episode. And I just said, wow, this is the worst shape I've been in. And I just couldn't take it anymore and just decided to, I had always been working out, so that wasn't the problem. I wasn't necessarily doing cardio. I've always been a weightlifter. I've been lifting weights since I was 14. I was a defensive lineman in high school. I was like offensive line when I was younger too. Like I was always a weightlifter. So I started just incorporating more cardio and weights, and I went on a low carb diet, almost like a keto, and I had lost like 30 pounds real quick, and within like I probably lost about 30 pounds within like 6 months, and then I lost another 30 pounds in the next year. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm down about 60 pounds. But wow. I've been doing it slowly though. I'm not just cutting calories and losing 100 pounds in like 6 months like some people do. Because I actually went to school to be a gym teacher. That's what I went to college for.
Right.
So in health, I minored in health. So exercise physiology. I took all that stuff. So I know a lot about working out. And I was a personal trainer all through my early years of college, and so I know a lot about fitness. Okay.
Well, so, I'm happy for it.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Because I could actually I could relate to you in some way, because when I was younger, mostly growing up, most of my life, I'd say from like pretty much when I was in kindergarten through about sophomore year of high school, I was like a fat bastard.
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah, me too.
I was like probably like 230 pounds,
yeah.
And then I ended up losing most of that weight in like less than a year, and I got down to the lowest I was about 157. But what I did wasn't like the right way. I was mostly like a cardio guy, so any of the weightlifting I did while I was heavier, I kind of like lost anything that I was gaining like muscle wise, and I was kind of like this a little bit.
Yeah.
But then since like basically I'd say July to now. Obviously, I don't have a gym at the moment, but I went from not being able to get 185 off the rack for bench pressing. I'd say like last May to in February being able to bench press 250. So I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, good for you. How old are you?
19.
Okay. It's a good age. When I was so I had a similar story also too. When I graduated high school, I didn't get any offers for hockey, and it was because I was too heavy. I was probably about 250 pounds, which is ridiculous for that. And I actually did the same thing. I just increased cardio and didn't lift weights anymore. And in the next year after I went out of high school, I lost almost, like, I think it was 80 pounds or something like that. So I was down to like 180 or something like that. And like you said, my muscle had really whacked also. But yeah, I have a similar, and then I built it back up, similar to what you just said. So I've been through that same exact thing you've been through. I actually did that a couple of times in my life, which is terrible because I'm 35 now, and I've lost 100 pounds twice in my life. I just lost 60 pounds. So for anyone out there that that thinks like, oh, I've lost weight, I'm good. That's not how it goes. It's just like anything else. If you could lose weight and you could gain the weight back just as fast. So you have to keep it off. That's the tough part, but go ahead.
So I don't know if you're aware of what's currently going on in the current challenge season, but Johnny Bananas and Wes kind of put their rivalry aside and they formed a two-man power trip. Having been on a season with both of them, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, at first I was kind of mad about it. I didn't really like the move at all, but Johnny was, I was always in Johnny's alliance. If I'm on a challenge with Johnny, I'm in Johnny's alliance. All the ones I've been on, he's always took me into his alliance, or we get along very well with, but he's also hard to deal with, like Wes. They're both extremely cocky, and it's funny to see them work together. Like, they're really but at first I was mad about that, and I thought, like, wow, I wouldn't, almost like a sellout, like he's going out, he's gonna, going with Wes. But then once I haven't been watching as closely as I used to. So then when I started backtracking the story and seeing the other alliances and everything, I realized, well, he had no other choice.
Yeah.
So if I had no other choice, I'd go on an alliance with Wes. He's really not a bad for himself in these challenges, but he's not like the worst human being ever or something he's not that bad. He really isn't.
Yeah, because the last couple challenges, Johnny's been going out pretty early. Last season, him and Wes both went out early, and you kind of saw like a changing of the guard with some of the newbies kind of taking over. So at the stage of their career, you kind of have no choice. It's either go together or you're both going home first every time,
Yeah, they had no choice. I like that. I like what they did. But Johnny has a huge target on his back, and because he's won so many and he's done so many. So this is what happens eventually. I thought this would happen eventually, and it finally happened. Like, you can't just run the challenge forever.
Yeah.
Eventually. I just watched a really cool clip of the challenge today where the kid Rogan broke.
Yeah, Rogan.
Jay, he broke his arm, the other kid's arm. That was unbelievable. I thought that was awesome. I mean, I feel bad about any guy got hurt, but that was a great chat. That was a great elimination to watch.
Yeah. So you've obviously been partnered with Sarah twice, and then on Cutthroat, she was on your team. So, and as you know, Johnny took the money from her. What was your thoughts on that? And would you have taken it?
I actually ask myself that all the time, but I was watching that with my best friend Brian. It was really funny. I think I was back in Boston when that aired for some reason, and I was with one of my friends, and we thought that was like the funniest thing ever. That's probably the best moment on reality TV history. That's one of the top moments on reality TV. When she cried, I like Sarah, but when she cried, that was like, to watch as someone watching, that was unbelievable. I thought that was like and I hated how he one thing I didn't like is how he said, like, oh, well, you didn't do this, and at the end you kind of lagged here. He just took the money. Just say, hey, I took the money. Don't say, oh, you did something wrong, because Sarah doesn't really do much wrong. She's a really good person. She's a really good partner to have. She doesn't cause any trouble. She usually does. She works her hardest. She's not like one to like give up really easy. So, partners. So I didn't like how he said, like, well, you didn't. Isn't that what he did? He kind of said, when he said, like, in the final you didn't do so well, so I'm not giving you the money. Is that what his excuse was?
I heard, or I'm pretty sure he said that it was because they did a season, 2 seasons before. It was X's 2. She was with
Oh, that's
Jordan. And it was the final 4 teams, and her and Jordan won the challenge, and they had to choose one team to go into elimination to face Leroy.
okay. Yeah,
Um, and they had a layup team with them there. So obviously you want to keep the layups for the final, and you want to put yourself in the better position. So Sarah chose to put Bananas in, and
yeah.
that kind of like he called her like the modern day Judas, and said she was like the devil. So that's why they were rivals on
Yeah,
that
yeah,
season they did. So he kind
exactly.
of used that as like a defense mechanism. But if you look at it
Yeah,
closely, they were friends and were in alliance for most of the seasons they were on. But if I'm in her shoes, they're not on. Her only partner was Jordan, right? Like Bananas is
yeah.
not her partner. And if you're trying to win a
No,
season, at that point she hadn't won before. So you got to put yourself in the best position. In Bananas' case, that's his one and only partner that season, you know? So
yeah.
two different scenarios.
But I know these people out of the show in real life, and Johnny and Sarah are friends off camera. They grew up in Orange County. They grew up right down the street very well. They're very close. They've been every time they're on the show. They're usually in the same alliance. So I understand what he said, but I know them personally, and he is a friend of hers. So it's almost like telling your friend, "Hey, I'm taking all the money."
Yeah.
That's
Would you have taken
funny
the money?
TV. That was the best. That was unbelievable. Would I have taken the money? I say to myself, yes, I would have, but at the moment, I probably wouldn't have because I'm a much nicer person than Johnny is. I tend to think I am, and I have a little bit more of a heart than Bananas. So with Sarah, I probably would have gave her her share. I wouldn't have took the whole thing. But I tell myself, like in the back of your head, you tell yourself you should take that. Because how many times are you going to be offered that money in life? You're not. You know, I make okay money, but I don't make that kind of money. And I might never make that kind of money. So you honestly, I understand why he took it. But I wish he just said like, I took the money because it's $1 million. That's what it
Yeah.
was, wasn't it? Yeah. So
I think it was like half a million, something like
it was
that.
$500,000. Now the prizes are
Now
even
it's a
crazier.
million each time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 100,000 my first one. So times have changed for the challenge.
So obviously, you being from Boston, you're a diehard Patriot fan. This
Yeah.
offseason kind of hit you guys like a truck. What's your take?
What's my take on that? I have a group chat with a lot of Boston kids everyone's pissed there. A lot of people are mad in Boston. A lot of people side for some reason. I don't know why. I've been a Patriots fan before Tom Brady was there, but a lot of people have been a Patriots fan since Brady got there, and that's the reason why it's hitting Boston so hard because it's like Larry Bird retiring or any of these great stars retiring. But he's going to another team. A lot of Boston people are rooting for Tampa Bay. I don't get it because I'm with Belichick. So whatever Belichick does, I'm with.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. But I'm not happy about it. I almost say like that's how I feel right now. But just like Green Bay with Brett Favre, like things will be okay one day. Just not right now.
I think in the AFC East though, you got to watch out for Buffalo. I think this is like their this is basically like their best shot that they've had in like quite some time to really take the control of the division.
Definitely. So I'm a big sports guy. I live in Vegas. I also work at the sports book in Vegas. So I'm in the win. So I'm all over that stuff. Buffalo's favored to win the AFC East. But it's hard to say. A lot of people think that the Patriots are tanking for Trevor Lawrence, and a lot of people think that the Patriots can still win the division. So yeah, Buffalo's favored. The Jets, you never know. Terrible organization. And then you got Miami, and they're too young. They're too early in their stage of rebuild. Miami's been rebuilding since Marino left. But the Patriots have a great defense. The Patriots have the top defense. They had the top defense in the NFL last year.
Yeah.
for 95% of the season. So they have that same defense this year. They might have lost like Van Noy or
Noy.
Collins, a few guys, but they just drafted 8 people on defense. So
Yeah.
they're going to be great defensively. So don't count the Patriots out, even though I'm a fan. But yeah, Buffalo's favorite. You're right.
So obviously the name Vinny comes up a lot with Jersey Shore. That's a famous show.
Yeah.
And a lot of my buddies said that you looked like a Jersey, like on your Fresh Meat season, I'd say, and Cutthroat, you kind of looked like you could fit the role of a Jersey Shore type character. Have you gotten that a lot?
Of course, yeah. I've been getting called the Guido since I was, I don't even know, 12 years old.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've kind of lived that lifestyle before that show came on. I had a blowout in my senior picture, not like Paulie D's blowout, but I always have had that style my whole life. So I still have that style now. Might be a little bit more athletic. I try to not stay with the same. I always thought, like, when I first saw like the Jersey Shore, like, who still has a blowout? Like Paulie D has that blowout still. That's like me keeping the same hairstyle I had 15 years ago. It's just, I don't understand the blowout still. But I do love that show. I actually go to the gym with Ronnie from the Jersey Shore. He goes to the same gym as me.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
He's not a very talkative guy though. He's a Bronx guy, so
Yeah.
he's not like the most friendliest guy. But
Yeah.
he works out at my gym. A lot smaller in person.
Really? Yeah, I heard he was like 5'6", right?
Tiny, but yeah, real skinny too. I know, but he's not in the kind of shape he was back when he first started that show. All those guys were a lot more jacked when they started that show than they are now, I feel like.
Yeah. I'm actually a Jersey guy. Like, I live 5 minutes from the MetLife Stadium where the Giants and the Jets play, and I go down the shore a lot. I've actually been to the Jersey Shore house.
Sure, I have too. I have I'm friends with Paula from the Challenge, so Paula's boyfriend, this kid Lance, he was a Jersey guy, Lavalette, I think he's from.
Yeah.
You know what that is? So
Lavalette, yeah.
Lavalette, so which is like right down the street from the Shore House, pretty much. So, I think so. I became good friends with them, and I used to go out to New York a lot. I used to take the bus from Boston. You take the Chinese bus. It's like $10. It takes you from Chinatown, Boston, to Chinatown, New York City. Then I would get on the train and meet him in Jersey City, and then we would go down to the shore all the time. It's so fun down there. Jersey Shore, much funner than Cape Cod. Like Boston people go to Nantucket, they go to Cape Cod. Jersey Shore is way more fun than that. Yeah, I had a blast down there. So.
Do you miss being on the challenge?
I find myself recreating athletic challenges for myself, like the challenge did when I was on the challenge. So I miss a lot of that, and I do miss the camaraderie. I'm a very I'm a team guy, so I'm like a friendly guy. I like the camaraderie. I like having more the merrier. Like the more people in the house, the funner. That was all real fun. Like those challenges are real fun. I've never been the guy that everyone hated. That was, because there's a lot of those guys in the show too, and that's probably not so fun when you're in that case. So I've always been one of the more friendlier guys in the house. Mm-hmm. I always enjoyed that. That was the best part of the challenge. Probably the camaraderie and like the extreme stuff you get to do. Like one time we were in, I think it was the elimination where I got eliminated with Easy in that challenge. We in Prague, we had to jump across like 30 feet high. We had to jump across to these platforms, and like you're like 30 feet in the air, and it's crazy. Some of these challenges are nuts.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff that like you can't recreate that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the stuff I miss. The stuff you can't recreate, I miss. I miss that.
Mm-hmm. So we're wrapping up with a last question. What has the coronavirus adjustment been like for you with obviously being used to like your normal everyday routine, whether it be working out, art, like how has it kind of adjusted your focus?
I actually don't. I actually don't mind the time off. I've actually been working out double since I've had the time off. I've actually worked out more, but I'm not lifting weights. I only have like 30-pound dumbbells and a kettlebell in my
Yeah,
house,
I
so
have
I'm
35.
not. Yeah, so I have 30-pound dumbbells. So I would. I also have a chin-up bar, um, but like stuff like that. You can only do that kind of stuff for so long. So I'm itching now after it's been so long. I'm itching to get back to the gym now. But it's I've been working on my cardio since it's really helped me work on my cardio because I'm actually entering a triathlon. It was supposed to be May 2nd, which is that today? It's like it was supposed to be it was supposed to be this past Sunday in San Diego. I was going to do a triathlon, but obviously it's canceled, and like all the ones for the summer are canceled. So I have to postpone that now. So I've been working up towards my cardio, and I've been swimming and biking and running. But now with the COVID, I can't swim. There's no pools open.
Right.
So I've been just biking more and running more. I actually ran 12 miles the other day. I'm running a lot. I'm running a lot. I'm just doing a lot of reading up on a lot of fitness books and trying to better my fitness. I've been really taking to fitness this whole COVID. I know a lot of people. You could go the other way. A lot of people have been snacking, gaining weight. Tons of waitresses I talk to that I work with that like gain 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Some of them gain 20 pounds. It's crazy because they're not doing anything and sitting around eating. I'm trying to keep active. I also live in a little bit different area. My friends in Boston, they're inside because you're not staying active when it's cold. It's better now, but when it started, it's tough to stay active when it's cold out. But I live in a
Yeah.
warm weather area, so it's easier for me to just get out of my house. I literally walk a half mile, maybe about a half mile out of my neighborhood, and I'm in Red Rock Canyon, running around and exploring out there, and
Yeah.
different from my city days. I was a real city guy before I moved to Vegas. When I moved to Vegas, I didn't have a car. I took the subway everywhere. So, um, I've changed a lot moving out here. I married a girl from Seattle too, so she's gotten me out and more outdoorsy, which is pretty fun. Just like the challenge. The challenge did that to me too. A lot of outdoor stuff, keeping active.
Yeah, I've used this time to kind of get better in areas that you wouldn't be getting better at probably if everything was normal. As you
Yes.
said, cardio based. I'm kind of preparing myself to be like more functionally fit, more body
Yeah.
weight stuff.
Yeah.
I started using like like a hose for spraying water. I've actually used those as kind of like battle ropes.
Yeah, that will work. That
Yeah,
definitely works.
yeah.
I like
So
that. You gotta be innovative.
uh-huh.
I've been doing some chin ups. I was doing chin ups earlier in my kids' huge trampoline in the backyard. You just gotta find ways to work out, and I do a lot of. I know who's really good to follow is Kenny Santucci from the Challenge. I follow him a lot of his workouts. He's always keeping active. Um, I don't know how Johnny wins all these challenges because every time I follow Johnny, he's not doing anything.
Yeah, no.
But he used to, though. I don't know. Maybe he still does. He just doesn't show it. But yeah, just it's been crazy. But it looks like it's gonna be getting back to normal soon. Hopefully. I don't know how normal, but it's getting
yeah.
there.
There's not gonna be like a formal like, okay guys, this is over, everyone go outside. It's gonna be gradual. Like I know Texas last Friday already started like a phase one, which is 25%. Like they opened up the movie theaters, malls, zoos, I think, and bars, but it's only 25% of people that are allowed in. And then I think like next week, I think or the week after is like 50% or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Same. Nevada is very similar. We're doing phase one this week, I think it is. Like they're starting to get that, rolling that out now. But the casinos won't be open for a while. I work in one of the busiest casinos in the world. So we have 12,000 employees. So you can't just throw people back in.
Yeah.
There's a lot to go into it. Vegas is a hub for like everyone. So like when this virus started, I was so nervous because my bar were from New York. There's a lot of New Yorkers. A lot of people from all over, Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So my job, no one at my bar is from Las Vegas. Everyone's from a different city in this country or in Europe. or India, everywhere. So I'm nervous about that, but you know, nothing I can really do. There's nothing you can do, right?
Yeah.
I'm still going back, so.
I definitely need a haircut though. That's
Yeah, my hair is crazy long right now. I used to be a barber, actually. I went to barber school, so I can trim the sides up a little bit.
I mean, you got
My hair's
Leroy's
getting.
down in your area too. He's a barber.
Leroy is a barber. You know, I DM'd him for a haircut, and he didn't get back to me. But I used to work at the one with Leroy. We worked there together for a few years. When he first moved to Vegas, I was one of the people he contacted to what to do, because he wasn't. Well, he was on Real World Las Vegas, but he used to work in the nightclub out here, Outdoor Beach Club. So, but now he's on the Challenge every year, which is a better job.
All right, man. Well, it's a pleasure having you on, man. I enjoyed speaking with you, and I respect what you've been able to overcome and what you've accomplished since being off TV.
Right. Thank you, man. Are you Jets or Giants?
Neither. Against both of them. I'm a Seahawk. No New York. I'm a Seahawk fan.
You're a Seahawks fan. Like my wife's a Seahawks fan.
Well, she's got good taste in teams, though.
What about baseball? You like baseball? Are you Yankees or Mets?
Well, actually, yeah, technically I'm a Mets fan, but I'm not really a big on baseball.
Okay.
I was a pre-LeBron era Laker fan for basketball.
So you're all over the place.
Yeah, football's my main sport. I actually captained an intramural flag football team at my school. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of,
So you played football in high school?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, it was a pleasure having you on, man.
All right, nice to meet you, man. Take care.
Hope you're staying safe. Take care.
You too. See you later.